Welcome back to Duff's Tavern. Today I am joined by one of my buddies, Liam. And before we have him talk about himself a little bit, we are now video. I got a video, he has a video, wherever it is, right over there. So now Duff's Tavern, you can see our beautiful faces instead of our terrible voices. So today we are making a drink that Liam suggested. I am bad at the name. Would you want to tell everyone what it's called?
It's called a Zazarak, and it's pretty much an old style old fashioned.
Yeah. And while I'm making this, Liam, how about you tell everyone about yourself?
So my name is Liam. Obviously, you're not hearing that twice. I met Duffy a few years ago at rugby, and I came here from New Orleans when Katrina hit. I lived a lot around a lot of places. Outside of that, I know Duffy from rugby, and we wanted to start a podcast together, or at least we were attempting to at the same time, and he was successful. I give up on all that. But that's about all I got to say for myself, Liam.
Yeah. We did meet playing rugby. I think we met in Savannah.
Savannah?
I think that was the first time we met.
I think on the sidelines with Mary.
Yes.
True Luck?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was Mary, and
She's like, Liam. And I was like, oh, there's another adult named Liam. Did you experience that everyone named Liam was like 5 to 7 years younger than you?
yes.
Yeah.
Like, I think the only other Liam I met was in high school. And he was the complete opposite of me.
Yeah.
And it was wild. Because I never really met any other Liam, older Liam. Like, I've always met younger ones, but you're the first Liam I've met that's actually, like, older than me.
Yeah.
So when people ask your name, Liam, do they go for Liam Neeson or do they go for Liam Payne from One Direction?
I only in recent years has been Liam Payne, or in other places, not in Charleston, but definitely got Liam Neeson. Like, I was somewhere in the middle of high school when that Taken movie came out. So honestly, thank God, because I got everything under the sun except for Liam when telling people my name. When I worked for the hospital, I would have patients and I'd say, "Oh, my name's Liam." And they go, "William?" I go, "No, Liam." And they'd be like, "Oh, like Liam Nelson." And I go, "No, Neeson." And they go, "Your name's Liam Neeson?" I'm like, Jesus. That would happen more times than not. But yeah, you were the second adult Liam that I met in Charleston. Other than that, it's all restaurants where, every time a mom snaps at her kid, or I'm talking to someone I don't know, they're like,
There you go.
I've got 3 kids in my class.
Ooh, shit, I spilled that everywhere.
It's all right.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well, finally, hey. It's like an old fashioned.
It is.
Yeah.
But talking a little bit about Savannah, I met you on the field. I met you shirtless.
Of course.
You only had one nipple piercing in.
Oh, we're going to go right into it.
Yeah, we were going right into it. Yeah, you only had one nipple piercing. I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously, like everyone in Charleston rugby, you knew my dad.
Yeah.
Big Duffy and Little Duffy.
Yeah.
So, a little bit into, do you remember Savannah at all?
Yeah. It's like a witch hunt.
A little bit.
That's all right. I'm here for it.
So, I remember after the game, I was blitzed on vodka and Gatorade. That was what I was drinking throughout that tournament.
Yeah.
And then we bar hopped after that.
Yeah.
And I remember we got to like the Irish bar. I forgot the name of it.
It's probably good not to say out loud. Sure.
And you would just come up to me and be like, Liam, come here, and grab me by the shirt and walk a little bit. And you would go through like a few doors. You're like, why the fuck are you following me? Just over and over again, repeated that night.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, man. I thought we were having a good time. I remember.
Oh, I loved it. It was fun.
I remember pieces of that night. I thought that you didn't have your ID on you, so I was trying to help you get into places.
I didn't have my ID on me, but I also was underage.
Yeah, well, I was trying to leave that part out of your podcast, but
Past statute of limitations,
yeah.
maybe.
I think that was the initial time that I did that, was that you were outside and you're like, I can't get inside. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I just like grabbed you and I was like, we're going in. And then we got in, and then I think I was trying to get you a drink or whatever thing we were trying to accomplish like failed, and I just didn't have an explanation for it. And then I'm sorry if I barked at you, man.
No, you didn't really bark at me. It was more like, why are you following me? Like, you just grab me and then be
I
like...
do have ADHD, so I
mean,
completely see this.
It was a funny part, and that's where I met Jess and Beck, same time there.
Yeah. Beck's cool. She's interesting.
Beck's cool. She got her third?
Third, I guess, because they had twins.
Yeah. I slowly follow that. I still keep in touch with Jess a little bit.
Yeah. She's a confident woman.
Yeah.
Like Beck. Jess, I don't know. Jess went off to Colorado?
Yeah. She's up in Colorado now. I think she should be back in town soon.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back into rugby, how did you get a start in rugby? Because
I don't know if I ever started. Probably shouldn't have. At least there's one good Liam rugby player in Charleston.
I don't even play anymore. So there was that kid from Wando once.
Yeah. So my brother Alex played rugby at the University of South. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't remember what year he graduated, but I think he graduated around 2001, 2002. So I was like 11 or 12, and we would go and we'd see him play. I don't know what made him pick up the sport. I guess because my dad never wanted us to play football, so my brother was rebellious, and he was like, I'm going to play rugby.
Go play a tackle sport with even less pads.
Yeah, right. But to be fair, you know, if you do it properly, it's pretty safe.
Yeah.
Not for him though. So he played, and we went up and we saw him play at Furman, and he played some North Carolina schools at the time because again he played in the University of South and Swanee Tennessee for a guy named Stringer was the coach, Coach Stringer, and he was like this just off the wall English. I think it was English.
It's always some foreign.
Yeah,
it's always some foreign coach.
So I went to third half, and the other team was Lee University. I remember it because it was so much fun, and it was at the coach's house, and they basically just had like a huge kegger party, and there's nothing else to do in Tennessee and Swanee, so it's at the top of the hill. It's just, everyone was out. Again, I'm like the dude in the corner, and they're like, no, like branch out here. And then, so they were like trying to get me to drink and stuff, and I wasn't accustomed to it. So they made me do like a 30-second keg stand. And I know it's like, oh, well, you did a 30-second keg stand. Anybody at that age.
Yeah.
Because you're basically just sucking in fluids. You don't know what you're doing. So it's not like
young is just to suck in fluids, isn't it?
Yeah. So it wasn't impressive. It was just unfortunate, but it was fun. And then like, I don't know, my brother's trying to tease this girl from the other team, one of their friends, and I walked her to her car and she gave me like a kiss on the cheek, and it was innocent, but
Ooh.
I was like, man, I'm gonna play this sport.
Drinks and women convince you to play rugby.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and the lack of ability to play. We like swam and played soccer, but. When I got to Wando, I was Ralph Lundy's age, and North Carolina. So most of your listeners should know the Ralph Lundy like soccer camp. So it was his son's age. So when I moved here a few days before freshman year, and they're basically like, you can't get on the team. So
soccer denied you.
Soccer denied me. But yeah, well, I'll get into that a little further. How did your dad just brought you up in rugby?
A little bit. My dad played for the Cincinnati Celts before I was born.
No.
And then when I was born, he stopped playing rugby for the longest time. Then he always talked about it. I went to watch Six Nations with him and my Uncle Wolfie every Saturday morning when I was growing up. So when I hit high school, I wanted to find a team to play for. There was no teams in my area to play for. So me and a few other people helped start the first team at James Island.
Yeah.
So after that, I started playing.
What year?
2013, 2014.
Okay.
Was my freshman year of high school.
All right.
And then went to 2017, then played a little bit at Coastal, a little bit of the Outlaws, and then because of school and schedule and work.
I get that little bit.
Yeah.
I get that very well because that's how I feel like it's been for me.
It's hard growing up and like not able to play a sport you like.
Yeah.
Time wise.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you don't have anyone who's like helping you train. It's just
Yeah.
A bunch of guys yelling at you that you don't know enough.
I mean, I'm used to that.
99.
But like, I was a forward. You were a back. I was a forward. If you know what rugby is, backs are the smaller guys with better hair. Forwards are the ugly brutes that hit shit.
Part of the joke was I knew that he had a video camera set up, so I did get dressed up to play the part with all of this. So that was part of the joke.
And I rolled out my bed, threw out.
Of course, just by the fact, hosting a podcast, yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks for dressing up, man. I appreciate it.
I look like a bartender somehow.
That's trying to do like a bartender.
This thing isn't high end enough for me to have on like a vest and that.
10 years ago, I'd say you look like you're gonna kick out my girlfriend, but you gotta grow up at some point. So I was similar, man. When I was at Wando, and we can get into like all that stuff, but my junior senior year, I was like, man, I wanna play rugby, and I kept on trying to find, and there's a few guys on the Charleston. College of Charleston team that like I was friends with. I'd run into the bar and they were like, man, you can always come out and whore on. I'm like, I beg your pardon?
Excuse me, sir?
So for anybody who doesn't know, like whoring on is basically just a substitute, but everything's got to be more fun in rugby.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you'll see if you go to any tournaments that if you just go and play as a whore, you just play for
you can
team.
just show up and whore on.
Show up, play whatever team needs you, plays for you. But continue.
So I like to do that. I'd go to their practices, and it's I was like 168 pounds, and I hadn't really figured out working out and doing all that yet. And I'd go on there, and there was just these monsters that even were freshmen that like they got like their bench pressing high school records, and they go out there, and I'd go try to tackle them and just get my ass knocked out.
I thought you liked tackling the big guys.
I did after I do. That's how you know me is like I'm on the end. I'm like, yeah, I stopped you. I didn't really care about the haircut or getting a try, but I really liked running over the guys. That's fun. But so anyway, like I wanted to do all that, and I would do summer sevens with the Outlaws.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was like a bunch of coaches that I probably shouldn't name. Like the Citadel coach, Bell. Mm-hmm. So he was there. I don't know if your dad was there. Have you ever heard of Grandpa?
I don't.
That wasn't a coach, but he was a player. But I guess he was neat enough to.
I think my dad started coaching my freshman year of high school down there.
Yeah, Tim and Butch and all those guys. There's a bunch of good guys, but I would go to practice, and this was just summer sevens at the Horse Lot downtown Charleston. Mm-hmm. For those, it was basically just in a really nice section of town, and we should not have been playing rugby there. In fact, I think we got kicked off the field a couple times. But I would always bring beer so that they would welcome me, because I'm like the little scrawny guy at the end, just trying to enjoy myself.
And just bring beer and be like, here, let me join. I brought refreshments.
Well, yeah, it was just to play touch during the summer. It's not that big of a deal, but, I wanted to get on the field. And then I remember they were trying to set up, I went to Wando High School, and I graduated in 2009, and they were trying to set up a rugby program for 2010.
Yeah.
So I was graduating at the time. I was in and out of the assistant principal's office because I was setting up a fundraiser, and there was, I don't want to say his name, so we'll just call him John Smith. And they called him Smithy. So there was a rugby player named Smithy, and I would play with him. He was one of the adult players, and I walked into my assistant principal's office one day. It was like a Tuesday afternoon. He was trying to get the Smithy to come out and coach this team.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, Smithy, like, all right, I'll see you later. I got a student. All right, see ya. And I was like, he hangs up. I walk in. I'm like, is that Smithy, the rugby player? And he's like, yeah, you want me to call him back and tell him you said hello? I was like, don't do that. He thinks I'm 22. I was like, so, oh man. He's like, I don't even know what to do with you. Like, do I give you detention? I was like, can we just pretend like this didn't happen? He's like, man, I guess.
It happened off of school, so you couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah. But,
So you sound like the real troublemaker at Wando.
no, man, I started a fundraiser for a kid with leukemia, and we raised like $15,000 in 3 months. I was just nonsense coming from New Orleans. I don't know what other way to describe it. I couldn't get in trouble because this was, I came from a population, like my entire high school was like a section of Wando. And I wasn't crazy per se. I just had crazy stories and, had interesting things to say, but you can't really talk in class.
Like, what kind of crazy stories from New Orleans?
Oh, yeah, don't. You talk some now.
Really, I want.
All right, tell me about coming to Charleston and your experience with rugby.
Oh, well, like, moving down to Charleston from where I was from originally, or just, like, playing rugby around Charleston?
Whichever one's more interesting.
They're both about the same. Moved down in '08 from Ohio, if I'm not bartending, West Virginia, if I am bartending, and if you're...
Where about in West Virginia?
Wheeling.
Wheeling?
So basically, if that's West Virginia, Wheeling's up there.
Yeah.
So it's like right on the border. And we moved down in 2008. I started elementary. I originally was in the wrong class because I was supposed to be in 3rd grade, and they put me in 2nd grade. So, like, the first couple of days, I was in 2nd grade down here. Then I realized a mistake and went to 3rd grade.
They couldn't get past your name. They were like, William, and you're like, yes.
Yeah, sure. Hi.
Yeah, again.
It's before, like, they hated people from Ohio, so they just put me back in 2nd grade. Like, oh, that's Northern education. It's not going to beat Southern education. He needs another year.
Yeah, what's funny is even from New Orleans, like, I skipped the first science class I had to take. Because evidently my education, even in New Orleans, was better than here.
Were we ranked, like, 48th, I think?
Yeah.
Are we really?
Yeah, or were, but, yeah. But West Virginia, so you said your dad played for Cincinnati?
Yeah, he played for the Cincinnati Celts.
I guess he lived up there. I like Cincinnati, man. They're so nice up there.
That's where I was born, but I've never visited. Like, we moved out when I was 2 or 3, then moved over to a small little town called Adena, Ohio. Like, there was one stoplight. The bank got robbed once, and it was the talk of the town for the next couple years. Like, it was that type of town.
Yeah, not a lot going on. That's how most places are outside of, like, those centralized places. Like, if you go, 5 miles outside of, like, Toledo.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
Cleveland, I can't imagine.
Ohio is just, like, cornfields, meth, and then just little, like, hollers, basically.
That's cool. Yeah, well, I mean, sorry.
You're good.
You good?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, outside of rugby, so came from New Orleans. My birthday's August 31st, so I was...
You're a Leo?
No, dude, I thought my whole life I was a Leo. I found out I was a virgin.
Shit, you got a lot of explaining to do then.
So Leo and then Virgo,
Yeah.
coming from Virgin. A bartender didn't know that, and she's like, "Hey man, what are you again?" I was like, 28, and she's like, "Let me buy you a shot." I was like, I'm joking. People in Charleston. Anyway, so moved here in '05 when Katrina hit. It's pretty much like Wednesday, Katrina hit. Sunday was my birthday, and then Monday I started school as a freshman with all the other freshmen at Wando.
Mm-hmm. So what? Katrina isn't the reason y'all moved here, right?
Oh yeah,
Really?
yeah. We had no idea.
I was, never mind. I got my hurricanes mixed up.
Oh yeah. That's all right. People do that. But yeah, so we did, my entire school was wiped out, and our house was fine, but the city was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was. They needed more rugby players down there to keep civil law.
You mean FEMA didn't help?
No, FEMA didn't.
No.
I remember we went back. Like I took my I brought my dad a car my sophomore year because the taxes and everything up here were better. And my parents were separated. He stayed down there, and we pulled up to a stoplight, and we had like the tags, like the dealer tags.
Yeah.
We pulled up, and like an MP, legit MP, like pulls up next to us and rolls down his window, and he goes, like, ah. And I was like, what do you mean? Ah. He's like, you're white. And I was like, okay. And he's like, well, I saw your tags, and that's illegal to have here. I was like, all right, are we good? And he's like, yeah. I was like, all right, well, like, thanks for the conversation. It was a wild place down there.
So I'm a little bad with history. How long did it take New Orleans to recover after Katrina, if it even has recovered?
I mean, I would say between like 5 and 10 years, but we've been back since other hurricanes, and basically they just like, if something gets dilapidated, they just build next to it.
Okay.
So like in the newer areas, like that's what it's like, but in like the older areas, it's, like in Europe, like you have these cities that flood sometimes.
Yeah.
So like York floods, and like basically just barter the door at the bar, like along the river. And it's like, if it floods, and we just deal with it and move on. So it's kind of just been like that since forever ago in New Orleans. But that's not where I'm actually from. Like that's where I grew up. But my mom's from New York, and my father's from West Virginia.
Oh shit.
Yeah, from Charleston.
How did that mix, New York and West Virginia?
So he went to Columbia University for school, and then went to I guess for pre-med, and met my mother in New York, and then did not like New York, so he left Columbia, and my mom just met him and was like, hey, like, I'm going down to Florida, and he's like, that's where I'm going. So basically just grabbed my mom, and they were the same age. Grabbed my mom, and they went to the University of Florida for a while, and then he went to med school in Morgantown, and she taught special ed at Morgantown Elementary.
Okay.
She's got a lot of weird stories about West Virginia, man.
I mean, I think you've heard with my dad's episode, there was, no?
Nah,
Have you not heard his stories? No. Okay, he tells it way better. If you're listening to this, go back to my clip on TikTok. It's the big boy story. So when my dad and his cousins were in college, the big boy? Like the burger thing.
Yeah.
So they plan to steal that one day.
Oh my God.
So they go in the middle of the night to the big boy. I think it's like in Martin's Ferry is what he said.
Yeah.
And there's a whole team of them. Is like hillbilly special forces, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
So they line up on each...
like that in New Orleans.
They line up on each corner of it and start hitting it like one after another. It breaks.
Oh, God.
They can't take the big boy, strap it to the car, so they throw it in the dam, like the river, and it goes to
try to float. Oh yeah.
To float it down and gets stuck in the dam, and it ends up being news, and everyone's looking for who did it. No one knew who did for years down the road, and then Dad finally told the story on Novotny's radio show.
Yeah. That's hysterical, man. That's like the anything that floats.
Yeah.
In West Virginia.
Like, my dad has some wild stories growing up, because my grandfather was one of 8.
Yeah.
So they just, after that, bred like Catholic rabbits, and there's a whole bunch of just Duffies around West Virginia.
So what was like the dissension? Like when was the first time like you and your dad, like, because obviously you got rugby in common, like what was the first time your dad was like, I don't get it, but I like good for you.
Video games.
Video games?
Both of my family completely detests video games. He said this is the biggest waste of time I ever did.
Yeah.
Never should have gotten video games. Blah, 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 blah. That type of stuff. So I just grew up watching YouTube, grew up playing video games. It's something I love doing.
Yeah.
And it was just a point of contention all the time where we'd have arguments over, I'm playing too much. No, I'm not. My grades are bad because of video games. Blah, blah, blah. Like, everything came back to being like, oh, you just fell down that hill. It's because of video games, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that type of stuff.
I used the same argument for drinking once.
No, that came later on with college for me.
It's a bad joke. But no, I get it. Like I'm a bit older than the other Liam. So we played like Halo and then like early football games and stuff. I actually had a rugby game, and it was awful.
Yeah, was it the Jonah Lemieux one?
It was one of the first ones. I couldn't tell you, man, but it was awful.
Rugby Oath. Was England on the cover?
Yeah, I think. Well, was he in red or white? I think he was in white. I think you're right.
White and red. I think we had the same one. It was like Rugby 03 or Rugby 06.
It was Xbox.
We had it for PlayStation.
Okay.
Because we grew up with PlayStation. I had like a PS1, PS2, and my dad will never admit to it, but he used to play video games. Like he had Doom, he had Wolfenstein.
Of course he did. Oh, dude, Wolfenstein's the best.
Yeah, he had Doom, Wolfenstein. He had the Lord of the Rings games that he would play.
Yeah.
And then he had the rugby game. I remember like growing up young, that I would like walk into their bedroom. I'd see him playing video games. He can never deny it because I remember it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I the last like video games like I like Halo, and then I would just basically play all the football games because I liked that they were interactive. Like what was it,
RPG.
Yeah, like those were like, hi, my name is so and so.
Yeah.
Like it's so stupid to me.
Like Skyrim, like those types of games.
Yeah, like Civilization versus like Empire or whatever it was, Age of Empire.
Yeah, those are more simulation games, like strategy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the RPGs are like Skyrim, Halo, Witcher.
So that's like first-person shooter or whatever, the RPGs.
First-person shooter
This
is
the
a complete other
conversation I've had.
Oh, we've had way nerdy. We're down to anime. So like FPS.
No, we're not. I don't.
FPS is different than RPG. They can coincide with each other. Like Cyberpunk is a first-person shooter RPG.
Okay.
But it's like if you think of first-person shooter, think of like Call of Duty.
Okay.
Like you think of RPGs,
Yes.
think of like Skyrim.
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, I couldn't do. My brothers would do that. I liked Age of Empire, but I don't think that was. You could just like conquer places and move on. It was basically like Risk Online.
Yeah, it's a strategy game.
But then like Civilization was like, what do you think about this?
What do you think of this decision?
Like, no.
Wait till like Nuclear Gandhi comes out in Civilization.
Yeah.
That's a glitch where like in the original Civilization, if you got like Gandhi's piece to get low enough, instead of hitting 0 and going below it, it takes it back up to 99.
Yeah.
So Gandhi becomes Nuclear Gandhi.
Yeah.
Where he'll just drop nukes at any sign of not liking someone.
Wow. Well, here's a nerdy twist. The only nerdy twist I'll probably try to give you. Sorry, not nerdy, just books. But The Giver. Did you ever read that? Way back in the day, it's like 100 pages.
I don't think so.
So The Giver is basically like the predecessor to like the girl, like Katniss Everdeen.
Oh, Hunger Games.
And then the other one that was very similar to that, like
Maze Runner.
Yeah, that too, but I can't remember the other one. But Resurgence. But basically, all those were based off of this book from a while ago, which everything's repeating itself. And my point of this was, I watched Fallout.
Okay.
And I loved Fallout, and I was like, because I remember Fallout.
So who's your favorite character and why is it the ghoul?
Well, wait. So I'm trying to convince my partner, to watch it with me, and she's like, oh, yeah. But I'm like, I don't know if you'll like this. Because I was watching it, and she's like, what are you watching? I'm like, it's supposed to, and I was like, oh, wait. I was like, you like Katniss Everdeen and all those movies. I'm like, you're going to love this. It's a little bit more sadistic.
Yeah.
But it's right up your alley, and I was introducing her to some, nerdy shit, but I think it's interesting.
Fallout is an RPG, going back to that discussion.
Yeah.
But I got my mom to like Fallout, because I've been trying to get her to watch like the video game TV shows. Like she loved Last of Us, she liked Fallout.
She liked The Last of Us.
And then Halo's another one I still need to check out first.
Is it a movie now?
No, it's a TV show on Paramount.
Is it completely CGI, or are there...
No, there's people. It's not completely CGI. Then Witcher on Netflix. After the first season, do not watch it because...
Yeah, Liam. They're replacing him with a terrible Liam.
Yeah. Well, the writers thought they were better than the source material in The Witcher.
Do you like Guy Ritchie?
Yes.
So big Guy Ritchie fan, and I'm like, why would you deny Henry Cavill like the opportunity to nerd out?
Plus, Henry Cavill now is working with Amazon to do Warhammer.
Yes, which I know nothing about, but
It is a lot of lore.
He's a smart guy, and he
I'll fix that later.
no, I'll fix it. He's a smart guy, and he God, like his character as The Witcher was so good, and then I don't think Liam's a good actor.
I don't know. We'll find out. The writers.
What do you think, Liam?
Huh?
What do you think, Liam?
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he is the problem with how The Witcher turned out.
You think they're gonna kill off?
No, it's still Geralt.
Okay.
It's the same lead. They're just swapping the actor. So,
They can't do that.
because The Witcher is, well, technically, The Witcher is the story of Ciri, but the main character throughout the books and games is Geralt of Rivia.
Yeah.
So it's still going to be Geralt is the lead to The Witcher. They're just swapping it.
Interesting.
Because, like I was saying before, the writers thought they were better and completely fucked up the books. And added some parts, took away some parts, changed a lot of parts, and it is garbage.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. It's garbage after that.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. I found the first parts of it interesting.
First season, amazing.
Yeah.
After that, terrible.
Yeah.
Care for another one?
Yeah, please.
Gotcha.
I thought I've listened to a few of your podcasts. I didn't know if you were gonna like explain the cocktail or.
I usually do that in the TikToks, that's where I go into history with them.
Oh well, I just listened to it on Spotify first. So.
Yeah, I post the TikToks on like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and I've done like the Man of War. I've done a I'm trying to think of the name of it. Man of War. I've done the Cape Cod, which is just a vodka cranberry.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I watched that on Instagram. Or something.
Instagram, Facebook, one of the two.
Yeah, I don't have the old TikTok.
Yeah. No, you haven't hit that age where you're on Instagram Reels and not TikTok.
I have too many friends that work in
Government.
that are like just why would you? And I'm like, all right. They're like, it's better that you not. And then I watch the behavior of young people, and I'm like, I get it.
I completely understand.
I used to be young.
You're still young.
I know.
Age is a mindset, Liam.
I was waiting for criticism.
Criticism for what?
Oh, I don't know. How did we meet again? Do you remember? You were back, right?
Yep, totally.
Yeah,
Definitely a bag.
that makes sense. What's weird is I went to school with Sam. I knew Sam. We worked at the same place, and then all of a sudden he was on the rugby pitch.
There you go.
I was like, damn, dude, what's up?
Yeah, I'm a back, and you're back in my day.
Are you gonna have another one? You're just gonna make me.
I'm just gonna get you drunk. That's about it. I'm about to make another one. You want to go into some of your rugby stories throughout the years?
I mean, I
You've been
guess
seasoned it enough.
I wasn't very good, but I always appreciated and enjoyed the sport. Here's a funny one. So I got off a flight to Australia. So I lived in Australia in 2015-16.
All right.
My brother was going to med school at the University of Queensland, and evidently he was on the touch rugby team. And I basically get off the flight, and it's probably early afternoon, if not like 11. I'm exhausted. It's like a 20-hour with layovers, probably 26-hour flight. And he's like, all right, come see my house. And he's like, here it is. And then he's like, all right, I got to go to this, touch rugby match or whatever. And I was like, oh, cool. And he's like, you're coming. And I was like, all right. So I'm completely exhausted. And, of course, they throw like a beer in my hands when I get there. And I'm just like watching him. And he's like, do you want to whore on? I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, just whore on. And they put me in at wing. And literally, the first time I get the ball, I step too early. and I scored a try because I could not tell with the lights. I couldn't tell where anything was. So basically, it was this huge pitch, and they had it set up for like cricket and rugby. So I didn't understand all the cones and everything, so I couldn't tell where the line was. So I had already crossed it, and otherwise I would have won the game. And then like literally the last play of the game, like I took the ball and I stepped over the try line, touched it down, or I would have won the game for my brother's team. And this sir's like, you don't understand the fucking game. It's fine. Like, it's your fault, not mine. Don't blame me. The whole team's looking at me like, you dick. I was like, Tom.
It's like fucking American.
Yeah, but I mean, I did well. I just couldn't see. Just get off a long flight. I couldn't tell the lines. They should have explained it before they threw it in, you know?
I mean, they would, but they're also Australian.
That's true. Yeah.
They love taking the piss out of someone.
Oh, no, it was just my brother he should have just, like, pointed out a single field to me. But
I mean, I took a few of my friends to, like, a rugby practice, but I also did the same thing where I didn't explain it to them.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just, you don't think about it. You're like, oh, hey, yeah.
Exactly.
Come
yeah.
join, play rugby. Then you get to practice with no explanation, no anything, and
Yeah.
everyone else on the team's like, yeah, you're an asshole for doing that. That's funny, but you're an asshole for doing that.
Which sucks because by that point I really understood the rules. So like whenever I played in high school, I really didn't no idea what I was doing when I was like trying to whore on for the College Charleston or the Outlaws and but at this point I'm like 25 and I'm like I know the rules and know what to do, but then like of course it's like here's another obstacle. Cricket.
Yeah.
They use the same field. It's like these cones are yellow, these cones are red, these are for rugby, these are for cricket. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell. Just give me the ball and I'll go try to touch it. And then they didn't have like proper
Goalposts.
So or it wasn't explained to me, but it was fun. I had a good time.
I mean, you kept playing after that, so obviously, like, something about the sport.
Yeah, I mean, I still loved it. I still thought I did well. I liked playing initially for the blockade. I thought that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Had a lot of good guys in there when I first started playing.
Yeah. I haven't tuned into that team in a while.
Yeah.
Like, who's still on there, who's not on there.
Yeah.
I've been out of sort of Charleston rugby for a little bit.
Yeah, man. Well, when you start to get older, those concussions can catch up with you.
I have under 10
Yeah,
so far.
I
went to the doctor for other number. I didn't.
Yeah. No, I'm probably over my entire lifespan. I'm above 10, so it's I don't one day want to freak out and start going.
I just did a call randomly, being like, Liam, where are you? The game's about to start, Liam.
Just gonna get like a water pistol instead of an actual pistol and just like soak everyone to. Yeah, it's CTE, man. That scares me. So I'll try to stay away from rugby because God knows what's gonna happen in like 30 years.
I mean, have you tried taking like the neurotropics and stuff to help brain function?
No, I
like that?
definitely do. Yeah. No, did you not think I had brain function, Liam?
I don't know. Depends a little bit.
I love your perspective of me because you've only seen me in like a niche location and dealt with me on a niche level. And it's totally fine. And what I tell, like what people don't know is like, again, like when you said like I was a hellion in high school, and it's like, well, I raised, this amount of money for a cancer, like for childhood leukemia at MUSC. It's all documented. It's like all these things I did outside of rugby, but it's like, oh, well, I saw Liam at the bar and he was drunk, so haha. That's like, man, that irks me.
Because, like, I've only seen you on the pitch and bars and, like, hanging out at your house. That's about it. Yeah,
which, like, I always try to make people have a good time and laugh, like I'm doing now.
Yeah.
It's like if what do you want this, or do you want me to be like, all right, so carry the 10 and you're like...
I mean, you can have a little bit of both. Andy, last episode, we were talking about, like, Kendrick and Drake beef, and then...
That's funny as hell, by the way.
And then we went into AI, like, his thoughts on the AI development and shit like that. Then
we can talk about all of that. You got to bring it up, man. That's why I was like, tell me 10 things we can talk about. I get burnt out on New Orleans rugby and, my childhood.
Get burnt out on your childhood?
There's got to be far more interesting things that two dudes named Liam can talk about.
I mean, who has the better name?
I'll probably say you right now. I was thinking about this on my way here. I'm like, at your age, I'd probably give the, head nod to you at that point. Certainly, if inside of rugby, I'd always give you the head nod. Because for me, it was just fun to be a part of it or whatever. I really didn't care.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have to go out there and be Bobby Fischer.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to go out there and be like Herschel Walker. But it was really fun to just go out there and like smash some heads.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to play for college when I was younger, and then growing old, I'm like, I would just play for fun.
Yeah.
It's like rare between like the times I can actually play. So I'm like, I'll just take whatever instance I can play.
Fit. Well, as a back, it's hard to stay like fit enough for them to even want you because they're so goddamn judgy. Sorry for cursing. They're so judgy.
Oh, dude, we say fuck all the time.
That's fine. GD irks me. So it it's like, oh, I'm not fit enough to go out there and run because I haven't run in a while.
Oh, you can transform into a forward.
I know that's what we're all supposed to do, right?
Yeah. Start as back, go to a forward, and realize you're a lot happier as a forward.
I probably would be because the only joy I ever got as a back was smashing the hell out of people and stealing possession.
But then becoming a forward, you would start to hate the backs because you do so much work in the scrums and getting the ball back and on the return just for the fly half to knock on. Then you have to run halfway across the field, set up for a scrum again, just to, okay, it happened again.
And, I mean, they can pull up the record of this. I think I dropped 2 passes in 10 years. If it was thrown to me, like, I would do grip strength exercises. So, like, you got weights there. Like, I would take the weights like that, and I would go like this.
Yeah.
Because if you were to throw me the ball, I had 2 older brothers that were both, like, 3 years older than me. And so all they'd give me shit if I dropped a pass. So I was like, if anything, I'm just not going to drop a pass.
Yeah.
But, the way
yelled at if you don't drop it.
Yeah, but, like, 5 years ago, the way that, especially having, like, a coach that was a forward, like, you just never get the ball to the back. So,
yeah.
That was fun.
So, for the viewers to know, me and Liam have a little bit of history in the podcasting scene, or the attempt in the podcasting scene.
That's actually something interesting.
Yeah. So, I think this was, like, after my D&D podcast fell through, potentially, or before the D&D podcast. This is not with you.
I can just tell it. Yeah, I just so you can tell your side of it. So why don't you tell your side of it, and then I'll tell my side of it.
I forget the timing of it. I'll let you go first while I think about it.
So for me, I work for the hospital. I was a medical assistant, and I worked for East Cooper up until. Literally New Year's, I was working on Sullivan's Island for a doctor that switched over to a different hospital New Year's Day. So worked up New Year's Eve, worked with him. Like took everyone's, like I was PRN float. So I'd work at anyone's office, but they always needed help over there. So it was like family medicine, so they'd just do anything. And I worked with him. And then when he left, that was like the last guy I liked working for.
Yeah.
For that particular hospital, so I didn't want to float anywhere else to like other offices. So I stopped, and then I took care of my grandfather because he called me and he was coming to Charleston. He was pretty ill. So I started a handyman service because right around 2 months after I stopped working for the hospital, COVID came out. Yep. And I was like, well, I can't work for the hospital if he's going to come here. So I started a handyman service. I used my name, but not Liam. I thought it was clever. I called it, so my last name's Hutchinson. And I saw these masculine, like they had like a hammer and like an axe or a hatchet crossing it. And it was like construction. So I was like, how do you tap into the market that doesn't deal with that? So I called it, so my last name's Hutchinson, so Hutchie's Honeydews. And,
I love the name.
Right? Yeah, so I had this cool, like, bumblebee that was, like, he had, like, a belt, and so, he looked like he was going to sleep with your mom. But, I never did that at work. But, yeah, so I did that, and while that was happening, I I had a lot of time to think. You're hanging up drywall or, replacing, you get a lot of time to think if you're smart. And I was just thinking about all my friends, like, they were bartenders and they worked in all these businesses, and, like, I see their posts on Facebook. So I would send them, like, $25 or this, and I'd, like, send them whatever my tip would be over, like, a week.
Yeah.
Not that it would be that much, but, like, you run into a guy that you haven't seen in a while, and you're like, damn, man. And then, whatever. So I was like, what if I start a podcast to help these people, just like every other tool. So I thought of this podcast, and I was going to call it Low Country Conversations.
Yeah.
And I really went after it. I had talked to people in design to design a logo that, like, really big people in design. I knew a lot of people. That's, like, what I found interesting was I had a lot of people that were keen for this to happen, because we had no idea at the time, like, what this was going to be like.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of these people, and I was going to, like, basically go from business to business and see what I could do to help, be like, hey, this is local business. So, like, there's this guy at the co-op. If you don't know the co-op, you should follow it on Instagram. It's hysterical, and he's great. He wasn't the first person I want to interview, but I asked him about it later, and he's like, well, we'll see. And this was at the end of the pandemic, so it really didn't matter at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But it was people like that, where these are small businesses in Charleston. I want to see them flourish.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do? Like, because we would order food out, because of course you couldn't go into businesses. And I would be like, I'd rather pay an extra $5 to get it from, like, a local place rather than a chain. And I'm like, that was a sacrifice I was willing to make to try to promote these people, because the last thing I want to see is, like, all these
local
businesses
fail.
Well, like, you drive through Charleston, even like Mount Pleasant, you don't see the empty businesses. And they're everywhere, and you don't see them anymore, because they're basically, like, if you have ADHD, they're just object permanence.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, where's the library? It's on in a nap, and Mathis Ferry, but it's not open.
Yeah.
So started trying to get that podcast. Had sorry, I was off course. Had backing, had all the equipment, got all the equipment, had a studio, had a place I could do it at, actually right next to the Citadel. The guy lived literally, like, so I thought it was cool because I could see the practice field.
Yeah.
Of the Citadel, so he lived on whatever that street was off Grove, and had a guy from a local band that also did this kind of stuff, and he was just like, I just don't have time for it. So that fell through, and then I came to you, and I was like, hey, I've been trying this for like a year. You want to do it, you're basically like, yeah, but same. So then you take over, man.
Yeah, I tried to take over. We tried to, like, get it started off the ground a little bit. It just kept falling through. And then I think that's when I picked up my, like, D&D podcast.
Yeah.
Ran that for a little bit. That ended. Then I picked this up, one, because this would be a little bit easier to record.
Yeah.
And it'd be, easier to record, and plus, I like the concept of it. I like having alcohol. I love learning the history from it, having people have a conversation, tell stories.
Yeah.
And then I just started putting a lot more effort into Duff's Tavern.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man, is it's easier when you can put effort into it. Like, I did put consideration into all this, and, like, I had bought tables. I bought, like, literally, like, collapsible chairs.
Yeah.
I asked your dad, I wanted to interview your dad about rugby, so he was like, cigars. I actually bought, like, a bunch of Cubans when I was in Mexico, intending to interview him in the next couple months, and bought, like, humidifiers, and I was like, oh yeah, we'll do this and we'll drink bourbon. Basically the same concept, but you stole it all from me. But I don't mind, because you actually did it, so it's, like, why would I, if you're two writers bouncing ideas off each other and one of them actually does it, you can't blame the other guy.
I mean, yours was more localized to Charleston.
Exactly. Yeah,
like,
dude.
There's
Before you start, there's no I don't want to be doing this. If we were still in Fallout, I would want to be trying to be like, hey man, come and support your local vault or whatever. But no, man, like around the time where it actually made sense was about a week before we talked about it.
Yeah.
And then it fell off from there, so it was kind of on the decline because like the news didn't even give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
And sorry for cursing. And this is so much better, man. I listen to your stuff. It's interesting. I'm not even interested in that.
I've had like a lot of interesting people on. Like,
Yeah.
I would give the credit to the people who have come on. They've been interesting. I've had like a lot of fun recording it and taking the stuff I've learned from school to this.
Yeah.
Like even last week when Andy came in, he was like, "Wait, where's like the people in the bar?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" Just the way I mix the sound in the background, it makes it sound like the bar.
Yeah.
So he thought I was actually recording in a bar.
Well, I mean, I thought that's why you call it Duff's Tavern.
Yeah, but like the background is sounds of
A bar.
Yeah.
Oh, you actually add in? Mm-hmm. Look at you, dude. Smart. Yeah. I had ideas like that, man, but again, they're why speak on things that didn't happen?
I mean,
It was fun though.
it got me like looking over the mixer, learning how to rig everything up and get it set was very interesting.
Yeah.
This setup is a little bit different because the last mixer I could feed into my computer through OBS.
Yeah.
But this one I have to record the mixer and the video separate.
I have to tell you how poorly I felt when I took all that equipment, and I was out of the box.
Yeah.
But I took it to the music
Center,
Guitar Center, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll give you $25 for it."
You might as well keep it at that
Yeah,
point.
they were like, they literally told me to keep all of the microphones and stands and stuff, and I was like, "Well, maybe I'll yell free." I was just being sarcastic. I was like, "I'll yell free bar on stage." She's like, "Yeah, you do that," and just hand it off. I was like, "All right, this is embarrassing," but yeah, I spent $225. I thought it was good equipment. And I mean, you set it up.
Yeah.
So you set it up in my house when we actually were considering. I think at that point you were kind of like, I want to do my own thing, but we can do some together.
I was setting it up where you could record it, and I was going to edit it for you.
But I wanted to see what it sounded like.
Yeah.
And I think we like cracked a beer.
Yep.
And we poured wine, and I was like, that's sexy. We had a woman there. It wasn't just me and Liam staring at each other. But
No, it was. It always is.
It always is.
Just Liam on Liam.
Yeah, I always found it funny when, after we first met, that we hadn't really had a conversation for probably 3 months. Mm-hmm. And you would always be like, "Hi, Liam."
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "Hi, Liam." And it was like we had to say it.
Or like your favorite thing out of the bar would just walk up to people and be like, "I'm Liam, and this is Liam."
Liam, yeah. It was, you have to understand what it's like from somebody who, like, since I was 7 in America, you know, I've always been in America, but, you know, the Irish. So, we should get an Irish mythology. You said you wanted to do that?
Yeah.
But, like, since I was very young, like, having to be like, "No, my name's Liam," you know, and they'd be like, "Lammy? What?" And, you know, to have... Yeah, Liam. Liam was a big one. I wasn't going to say it because it bothers me. And I knew it was the obvious answer.
I've been called a whole
Lamb chop, Lammy Winks.
Lammy.
Lammy Winks from South Park. I had that one in middle school. I hated
Wolfie would call me Lilac.
I never got Lilac.
I got Lilac.
I got a...
Which I regret saying this now because every one of my friends listening to this will now relentlessly call me Lilac.
Don't do it or Liam's going to come. He's going to find you. He's gonna... I'm not doing that. God, I hated that. I hated every conversation. Like, parents would be like, "Oh, so, like, you're the guy that protects people." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I am, because Liam means Wilhelm, which means strong protector, angel of God. So, yeah, I'm going to fuck you up if you fuck with me. What you got?" And they're like, "I was talking about the movie." I'm like, "I'm not. I'm tired of this shit."
Yeah, a little bit too much. You're just like, I'm fucking done.
Oh yeah. Well, that's when we get into Irish mythology. There's a keynote there.
All right. You brought up the subject. Go into Irish mythology.
Well, so your dog's name?
Fenrir. It is Nordic mythology for that
Fenrir,
one.
but you call him
Fen.
Fen, which is very similar to Finn.
Yeah.
So in Gaelic, what is dog?
I'm guessing Finn.
Coolin.
Coolin.
So Cuchulainn was man of the dog, or Cuchulainn was man of the dog. But Finn McCool was the other Irish hero. So when you like put up Irish heroes, you got Finn McCool and Cuchulainn. And Cuchulainn was basically like Irish Thor.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Yeah.
Is that it? Was it like the song Blood of... was it Blood of Cuchulainn?
Cuchulainn.
Okay.
So, yeah,
I always said it
Cuchulainn.
like... I never heard it out loud. I thought it was Cuchulainn.
Yeah. So Cuchulainn, yeah, it was weird for me too. But so basically, this guy was like the Irish Thor,
Okay.
and he never gets talked about, which I find so weird.
I mean, a lot of Irish mythology doesn't get talked about a lot because it's... Celtic mythology is a mix of Irish, Scottish, Isle of Man.
all the people that lost the war.
Yeah, basically. Because I've listened to a few of the Celtic mythologies podcasts. Like, there's one of them on Spotify, and she does a really good job.
No.
She's going to school for, what's the name of it?
Don't curse the name, you're better than that.
I'm not. Was folklore, like historical folklore and legends. So she basically is learning this stuff in the Celtic mythology and then talking about it on her podcast.
Yeah.
Or like,
I've heard
yeah. Where my favorite of the sort of fey creatures.
Yeah.
Is the Bugel Naz, or the Night Shepherd.
Yeah.
Which has all the rights to be an evil fey creature, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's hideously ugly, cries throughout the night to warn people that there's things that go bump in the night and to stay inside.
Guess who also was incredibly ugly and warned people of awful things that were going to happen?
Who?
All of the angels in the Bible. They literally said, "Do not fear me."
Mm-hmm.
And who would say that? People that looked ugly. And if you ever look at like the representations, they have them all over the internet now. But
Yeah,
it's like
the biblically accurate angels with all the eyes and wings.
Yeah. So that was like, but like not even the angels, but like the cherubim or whatever, which were in the Bible, right? And it's like, why the hell were these people talking about this thing? It's like, all right, well, fine. If you're not Christian, I don't care. But they talked about it, and it's a historical document. So it's at least 2,000 years old, and there's mentions of these things, right? It's like, all right, well, fine. Let's line it up with all the other things. And it's like, all right, so the Chinese were talking about dragons, and they were talking about, in Ireland or the Nordic people were talking about the Kraken or whatever, whomever. The English, I think. But anyway, you get what I mean.
For Nordic, they had, like, the major ones were...
Oh, yeah. I know all the Nordic ones.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, But I'm just saying the philosophy of all these things that happen are... It's interesting to think that all these people had some kind of monster or demon that... We have, like, fossils of similar things. I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with it. It's like, well, these are dragons, and then this looks like a dragon. No, that's a dinosaur. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? But anyway, so back to Cuchulainn, since we've diverted off course and you're staring at me blankly. So he was one of the Irish heroes. So he's like 7 years old, and his name was like Satana. And his, the Tuath the Danann. Have you heard of that?
Isn't that the book?
Well, it could have been the book. It was like the people that came and like ruled, like basically like the fairy, the magical folk.
I believe it's been a while since I listened to that.
Well, dude, you were the one that said talk about Celtic history on here.
You're the one that liked it. I was like, I know a little bit, but also my brain sucks.
Yeah, well, mine too, Liam. But you're the one that told me I have CTE. No, but the Tuath the Danann. So his dad. So basically, there was this Irish people. This is around when Christ was born, or said to be born, and So basically, I mean, have you heard the Irish history where like they think that like Noah's sister was the one that started the Irish people?
No,
So
like Noah
that
from
is
the Ark.
actual, like, yes, Noah from the Ark. So they dropped his sister. Like they were like, hey, cruising by, dropped her off in Ireland, and then ended up in back. They were just like, we're gonna make a pit stop, drop you off because we veered off course, and then we're gonna go back over here. I think it's like Syria or Egypt. I can't.
Some in the Middle East, like
Yeah,
that area.
it's in the
But Noah's sister.
yeah.
How
So
did
yeah, it
she
was
start the
supposed
Irish
to-
people?
that's what they said. You know that basically she went there and populated the Irish people, and I mean it's a lot of mythology. I don't think your listeners probably want to get into, but
Say whatever.
back to Cuchulainn. So this is
Okay.
cool. So he's 7 years old, and he's invited to a party. Well, he's not invited. His parents are invited to a party, and this is the smith of the town. So he's like the workman, but he's got, just like every other smith in town, he's got a badass guard dog. So this is like a King Corso, or probably more realistically like an Irish Shepherd, but like probably could eat your face and was 8 feet tall.
A big jack dog.
Yeah, so this dog guarded the house, and whatever magic or whatever that they used to have in fairy tales, he was told that only this amount of people were supposed to come. So his name was Satanta at the time, so he like veered away from his parents, which reminds me of me, which is why I like him so much. So like veered away from his parents, gets in trouble like somewhere else, and then he's not counted as supposed to be part of this party. So whenever the smith tells the dog like this only amount of people are allowed to come through, he's not included. So he shows up a little bit late, and this dog's beady red eyes. I mean, everything. Have you ever seen a King Corso?
Yes.
You're basically your dog inside, but 8 feet tall, and he's 7 years old. So he's yay tall or whatever, and just kills this thing, and like takes a lot of time to fight it and kills it. And then the homeowner, who's the smith, opens the door and is like, "What the hell?" And at 7 years old, he's like, "This is my fault." And the guy's like, "Oh my God, like, no, this is my fault." And he goes, "No, this is my fault. Like, my parents should have taken accountability from me and told you I wasn't with, like, whatever happens, this is my fault." And he says, "I'm going to stay here for a year at your door until you can find a dog that can do better than me at protecting your house." So Cuchulainn is the man of the dog in Irish.
Oh.
Or in, Celtic or Gaelic or whatever. But that's the story. Cuchulainn.
I mean, there's a lot of like Celtic. Any other mythologies you want to talk about?
I want to see if you know any, man.
Oh shit.
I know all of the fear and the gold. Do you know about like the butterfly one and the Irish one where? I mean, I know it, but I just want to ask. It's okay if you don't.
I'm going to say.
Chances his lover's husband, and he says like, if you know your wife so well, pick her out of a lineup. And she's like, I know how you pour. Like he knows how she pours her wine. You didn't know that one?
No. How my brain works is I get deep dived into one topic, and then after I get burned out on that topic, I move topics.
Dude, me too. Yeah, that's why I can't remember all the names. I had to write down something. I don't know. But yeah, that was an interesting one though. I'll send you the book after. Okay. I sent it to you about 2 years ago, but evidently you didn't read it.
If you text, shit, yeah, I forgot. I was also like decently broke 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
we're Irish. We're decently broke all the time. But I mean, yeah, it was just a cool story where this guy like loses, for whatever reason, he loses like his wife, and like to the king, and he just becomes like a butterfly and then flies away. But then he's like always got like the watchful eye. And all these stories seem similar to like the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and then like the Nordic mythology.
Yeah.
You got Thor, who's the sun, And then you got like the woman who's kind of watching over, and then you have the dog.
A lot of the mythologies and everything they don't repeat, but they rhyme.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them.
I like the way you said that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
They will follow like a lot of the same moral frameworks of stories and teaching lessons.
Yeah.
And like, because you'll see like the pattern throughout history of like gods being named after the same type of thing.
Yeah.
And all
sure.
that. Like how a lot of the Greek gods share similar characteristics to a lot of the Roman gods, even though they're like right by each other, so that makes a lot of sense. But they also share a lot of stuff with the Egyptian gods too.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like have you heard of like the water people?
Water people.
Like the water people, the ocean people. They like
Atlantis?
No, so these are. I don't want to get too much into it. They think
Get into it. This is a perfect
possibly
place.
the Peloponnesians or whatever you would call Polynesia, but it basically. And it's probably one of those things where it's like we just don't have the right vernacular for it, but like basically what ended the Bronze Age was like these war-scene people that showed up from sea onto land and obliterated everyone. And the difference between them and everyone else and why you don't have history on them is because they didn't want to culturalize wherever. They didn't want to conquer and make their own. Like they didn't want to culturize them into their own society. They just wanted to destroy and then fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for cursing. That was I always just found that interesting that like we have all these documents from like these different cultures, like the Syrians and Macedonian, like all these different people that talked about these people, and no one really knows who they were.
Yeah.
It's like, what kind of asshole just shows up, ruins everything, and leaves?
A lot of people.
Yeah, I know.
That was like the whole history back then. It was just like people show up, fuck some shit up, and then okay, bye. Either leaves with some stuff or just
take some
that
stuff.
That was
the
all,
Vikings.
Or like the Mongols. They just showed up, ransacked, and left with like women and children, and that's about it.
The Mongols are wild.
Yeah, they still can't find.
His tomb.
Yeah,
Genghis Khan's tomb.
Because the people that buried him, then were killed. Then
those people that killed him.
It was just like a long line of people being like, "Yeah, no one's finding this."
Yeah.
And then the trapped tomb over in China.
Yeah.
I think parents got home. The trapped tomb over in China.
Oh, with all the.
Yeah, with all the terracotta warriors, and they get mercury readings from the like from the soil, so they think there's like
gotta be some connection.
There's something.
Yeah. Did you ever see that thing on social media that was funny, where it was like a Yelp review, and it was like Medusa's head, but it was about like the terracotta people, and it was like 10 out of 10, worked perfectly. It was Medusa's head, and the people are all stoned.
Yeah.
It was good.
And then, so we went over mythologies a little bit. Stories.
Story time.
Story time. You got some wild stories you want to share?
Oh, why don't you start with one? I always feel like I'm on the nose. I'll think of one while you derive one out. Let the younger Liam go first. You're the forward, I'm the back.
What story do I want to say? I've talked about a lot on here. I've talked about my time in Vegas. I talked about my time in Ireland. Talked about good bit of shit. I talked a lot about my relationship problems.
You have relationship problems?
Yeah.
I've never noticed.
Yeah, no, it's sort of like swept under the rug a little bit. No one really notices.
I've never swept your relationship, just for clairvoyance.
Oh, complete sarcasm.
I have, but I have just tried to give you patient space.
I mean, you've known me for like my past 2 relationships, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you met the other one.
Yeah.
Not the recent one, but the one before that.
Sure. Yeah.
The cult member.
Have you learned?
I hope I have learned.
What have you learned?
Don't hide your marriage for 8 months. It's not a game, and when you're found out, it's not a fun game.
Honesty is the best practice, unfortunately. said, through the person who can't complain 100% honesty, who can. I like that. I can see it now. Your beard's a bit red.
Oh yeah.
Mine is too.
It hits the sunlight, it becomes red.
Yeah, this is. I was trimming it earlier, and I'm like, it's red. My uncle has like one red eye or one red arm patch, and my brother Patrick completely red when he was a kid.
I mean, red hair skips a generation in my family. So like, my dad's a redhead. I'm not. My kids are.
You say that, but you got the red hair.
I got the red hair here.
If you exposed any other parts of your body to light, if you ever left the dungeon,
I would just go suntan naked outside. Just full on suntan naked. That's it.
I could see you being red after that.
I mean, I do burn like a fucking Irishman.
Yeah.
Like, I fry. I think the worst time that I've gotten a sunburn is when like I passed out
rugby?
for. No, not even rugby. I passed out on the beach for about 4 hours. And I would just, like, face down, back up to the sun, and I was just fried where I couldn't lay on my back for a week straight, and I was just having, like, sun blisters and everything.
So when you go to the beach, can you sit, like, because I know, like, for me, like, my partner, whatever, she likes to, like, sit on the beach.
Nope, I have to play in the water.
I can't do it.
I have to play in the
like
water.
Her mom can sit on the beach. I'm like, and they like, not to shit on them, they like cruises. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no. And I saw like a funny reel where it was like, you're the kind of people like to go on vacation and chill, or like, are you gonna climb mountains every morning? And I was like, fucking mountains.
Yeah. It's like any place I go, I walk. Like,
yeah.
I go explore. Like, I went to Ireland. I was down in Cork, and I saw, I think it was the Ulster Stadium.
Yeah.
And I saw from where we were staying, so no one else knew where I was. I was with the team from Maryland.
Yeah.
I just walked out and started, like, walking there, and I made it there with no GPS, no anything. If I got lost, I had no cell service.
But why is that, like, if you just do it, you just show up? Mm-hmm. I just feel like that's a thing.
I mean, I've always liked urban exploration. I'm in a new place, I'm going to walk it. Even when I went to Las Vegas' Strip.
So that's what I would do. I'd run in the morning.
Mm-hmm. I ran into some fucking wild characters at the Strip in Las Vegas. Good? Another one?
Sure, if you cut this part out. But go on. So you ran into some wildcats?
Yeah, over in Vegas,
You were up early and they were
Yes.
still up.
I think I got up at like 6, so I was, like, all the casinos were, like, closed and everything.
Yeah.
And...
Or empty.
Oh, shit, I'm out of ice. You found without ice? Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
What is my fucking name?
More than enough ice? There you go.
Yes, sir.
So I started walking, and there are the, like, normal people who are walking the Strip.
Going to Pawn Stars.
Yeah, Pawn Stars going to top.
Somebody's like carrying like a, like old.
No TV or something.
No, like an old. I was gonna think of paintings. I just couldn't think of.
Pollock painting, something like
Pollock, yeah, that's funny. That's a good one for Vegas.
Pollock painting, or the inside of a teenager's bedroom.
Yes,
is the other name for a Pollock painting.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw one about the Navy the other day where somebody took a backlight and it was like a wall.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm not going to hurt on the Navy.
I mean,
but yeah, so you were in Vegas. You went exploring?
Yeah, there was like a good bit of people out. I saw, like, of course, the many Elvis people.
Yeah.
I saw... There you go.
Thank you, sir.
I saw the many Elvis people. I saw the funniest one was this, like, fat Elvis that was on one of those rascal scooters. And he was, like, slumped over a little bit. And you could see, like, a tall boy of Heineken right there. And you just hear him out of the corner of his mouth just going, I want a picture with Elvis.
Oh, my God.
And I was just walking by him like, that. I want a picture, but I don't want to touch him.
Yeah.
But I did miss my fucking opportunity in Vegas. I was at Fremont Street, which is like the old strip,
Yeah.
the Golden Nugget and everything. So they have like a whole bunch of people where you can take photos with. You have like the people who look like flamingos with the giant tails. There's
That's the old cabaret.
yeah, that's it. Cabaret people. There's like a whole bunch of like impersonators and anything like the Michael Jackson. I wanted a picture with the Chip and Dale dancers.
Yes.
Because I wanted like
Yes.
the Jack beefcake guy, and I would just have my gut out and everything. That would have been the best fucking picture.
Yeah.
But I was just too nervous.
Yeah.
So I need to go back to Vegas just to get a picture with the Chip and Dale dancers. That is my whole goal the next time I go there.
So being from New Orleans, we had the whole white tie, bow tie thing. So I had like the whole Chippendales thing, and I remember my brother from Swanee, his college sweetheart had come to Charleston when I was like 22 or 23, and I'd seen her, and she was staying on King Street downtown with like her 3 friends for their bachelor. And I was just being silly, and I was like, "You want me to strip for you?" Just like, I was skinny as hell, but I was like, I got the
Got the outfit.
My high school sweetheart at the time like bought me like red like Santa Claus like present pajama boxers.
Yeah.
It's like literally like had the white band, and it was basically a present on my cock. So sorry for cursing. But I was like, I'm gonna do this. This is gonna be so funny. So we set it up, and I got the flu the day before.
Oh.
Or that day. I had like 102 temperature, and I was like,
I mean, you're just hot enough to strip you, but would have been fine. Would have made it real steamy.
yes. Yeah. God damn.
Could have lived your life as a stripper, man.
I thought about that a few times.
Every guy has. It's either stripper or the military is the only 2 options a guy has, and it's usually the military.
Yeah, I thought about that too many times. Sometimes I'm just like driving, I'm just like, go. Oh, that's a funny rugby story. So when I was 17 and pretending to be 22, the guys that I was playing with that weren't coaches definitely knew I wasn't 22. So like one of them I had over to the house, and I was like, oh yeah, we can hang out and drink. We're at my mom's house. And then it was like, are you good?
Yeah. Good. I was just looking at, double checking that. Yeah.
So anyway, when I was pretending to be on the team, I was saying I was 22, and the guys were like, "No, you're definitely not." So like the 5 minutes that I got on in some tournament in Columbia by the airfield, this is again in like 08.
Year I moved down.
Yeah, so I was playing with like all these guys like Grandpa, like all these like actual good rugby players, and I was just complete shit. But they're like, we're gonna throw you in for 30 seconds, and then of course I get crushed. Well, in that 30 seconds that I get crushed, and then they're like, you want to hold this flag? So I think that Barry handed one of us the flag one time, and I was like, I'm never touching the flag again.
Being a touch judge.
Yes.
Like, dude, so sorry to stop your story a little bit.
No, please do.
Like, I don't know why, but I've just been left to the task of being a touch judge no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, around any Charleston game I've gone to since high school, they've always come up with the flag and had me run touch. I'm good at running touch, but like, fuck, man, I just want to watch the game sometimes. I don't want to run up and down. And it got to the point where even, like, when I went to Ireland, I knew fucking no one there.
Yeah,
No,
you have a kind face.
I guess. I look like a person that knows how to run touch, I guess.
You're setting yourself up for it. You gotta be.
Just, I hated running touch when it just perpetually got worse.
Yeah, no, I hated it because of that. Yeah. And I was like, I'm just not going to do it. And they're like, well, you're the youngest guy. Like, you have to do it. And I was like, find someone else. So, like, then they, like, fucked with me in other ways,
Any kangaroo courts?
Well, not with that team because, again, I was like 17 and they were like 40-year-old men. I think it would have been illegal. But they were, I was just running summer drills with them. But yeah, they would like one time like I pushed this guy and he'd fallen over and he'd like kneed me. Like I talked to him a couple years ago, and he was like, "Yeah, I did it on purpose." You were a little shit. And I was like, "Well, yeah, I was 17. What do you want?" He like and I was like trying to tackle him. He just put his knee up, and I was like, "Oh my god!" But yeah. So when I finally got to play for all of like 10 minutes, they signed me up for the National Guard.
Did they?
So like there was a recruiter walking by, 'cause of course it's rugby, you know, in a college town. So he's like, "This is probably a good idea." Never met him. All I know is my wallet was on top of my shirt when I got back. And then like 2 weeks later, I started getting calls relentlessly from the National Guard. I took that interview. I probably should have gone.
We've had a pension.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only a week every month, I think is how National Guard works.
Yeah, something like that. Can't remember, man. That's so long ago. That's good. That's a good joke, though. That's a good practical joke.
I usually either sign people up with the like WoW internet. Like if you go to someone's house and open up the WoW internet website,
Yeah, sure.
they'll send someone to your house.
So you're one of those evil bastards.
Yes, I am.
I heard you like to walk up to people and do tic-tac-toe or paper, scissors, rocks with them.
Yes. When I get drunk downtown, that's my favorite thing to do.
Have you ever thought about walking up to people and being nice?
That is nice.
Like, "Hey, you're pretty.
No.
Can I talk to you?"
Nope.
No?
I am terrible at talking to women. You should know this. I have no game.
Yeah. But you can talk to random people and say that. You ever thought about walking up to a girl and being like...
No.
Oh, you think it'd be weird because of the...
Yeah, you just walk up to a girl just out of nowhere, just like, you know what?
What if she spoke Dutch and you're like... She's like, "Pond?"
It just walks away.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny as hell.
I mean, I do a lot of... The rock, paper, scissors is one of the like main things I do when I get drunk because it's funny. It's just like, no, you're not going to get mad at like someone... I can't believe you came up and wanted to play rock, paper, scissors with me.
So you're manipulative.
In a fun
I am
way.
too. I am too. Yeah.
In a fun
I
way. You're
get
never
it.
going to get mad at like
No.
rock, paper, scissors. You either win or you lose. And if you lose, you're like, you want to go again?
This is on camera.
Yeah.
What's your strategy?
I'm not telling you. 2 out of 3. 1. My usual strategy is I ask if someone watches anime.
Oh, really?
Because, like,
Well, yeah, for you, yeah.
because if you watch anime, you will probably throw rock first.
Because like the hot or whatever.
Because if you watch Hunter x Hunter, the main character from that is his main attacks is rock, paper, or scissors. So that's where it came from, and I've had a 100% win rate with that so far.
Did you call it rock, paper, scissors or paper, scissors, rocks?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, me too. Where the hell did this? Like other ways they say it.
Then the only
Or
other one...
Rochambeau.
I heard Rochambeau.
Well, that's what it used to be called.
Yeah, just I heard that in a Tony Hawk video game. It was Rochambeau.
I used to play Tony Hawk.
The pro skater?
22 years ago, sure.
Yeah, it was a pro skater if it was 22 years ago. Because I grew up with the Tony Hawk Underground series.
No, I never played that one. We were doing like on half pipes and stuff.
Yeah, you couldn't get off the skateboard in your game.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, we couldn't.
Yeah.
It's a great view, by the way. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a nice little backyard.
I know. So,
Yo.
your tattoo.
Yes, the Assassin's Creed one.
Yes. Well, besides that, it is Celtic.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have the Bridget cross. Do you know this?
Bridget
The
cross.
Bridget cross.
Is that just the cross with the circle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, isn't that St. Patrick was the one that did that to merge the old Druids with Christianity?
Very close. I think a girl named Bridget did it.
Okay.
That was buried next to him, but I didn't know about it. And we got sent it for my birthday last year from my brother married this girl from Ulster in Ireland. And I was like, this looks Druid. I was like, yeah. And she's like, I don't know if I want to put this up in my house. So I like had to do a bunch of history, and then I watched a bunch of shit. And it's evidently a Christian cross. So.
Yeah, just a lot of Christianity is where they would go into a culture and merge the two different things to make it a lot more palatable for the people there.
Palatable. Yeah.
Palatable.
No, you had it. I was just saying good word.
Yeah. Just that's like a lot of even like Viking culture. Because when the Christians would come in, there's a lot of Vikings that have been buried with like a cast of Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, and the cross at the same time. Because on land they would worship Jesus, but at sea they'd worship Thor. That type of thing.
I always think about. You ever see that comedian make the joke that it's like, of all the ideas, like the funniest idea is that there's nothing. Have you seen that?
Maybe.
So he says like if you don't believe in religion, fine, but like, we're not nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We're something, and that's pretty fucking spectacular. So if there could be any kind of magic out there, it'd probably be creating this and being this. And he's like, that's not nothing. So then he's like making fun of the atheists, and he's like, oh, so when you die, what happens? And they're like, we go to nothing. And he's like, oh, so you mean you merge with your creator? Because they say they come from nothing, so they go to nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, that's fucking heaven, bitch. It's pretty funny.
So what is your thoughts on, if we're getting philosophical?
Philosophical, sure.
What's your thoughts of life after death?
I don't know. I tend to think in reincarnation. I think that, what would be the point of being good in this life if not to expect a better life?
Mm-hmm.
And then if, like, full disclaimer, no one that I ever future worked for listens to this. I don't know. I always had this kind of funny idea that, like, Christ would have had to have been, like, some sort of future humanity coming back. So you would read, like, A Brief History of Time. Stephen Hawking's.
I've seen clips of people reading it.
Yeah. Pretty difficult, right? My brother read it at like 12. Like he was, yeah. So that was my brother, the engineer. And like I would have to listen to the diatribes and all these things about it. And I read it and it's just like, so you have this idea of like, basically like, if I went like this in one reality, I went like this in another. And there's everything in between and on from like every moment. So it's like a snap, like just imagine like a snapshot. And that's infinity, right?
So like various timelines that can go off of one point.
Yeah, but everything that we do, and then there's a creation of all that. So it's like a tornado spiraling upwards. So like when you're born as the bottom of a tornado, and then every decision you made, there's 1,000 other tornadoes, and they're basically just going like that. And that's the best way that I can explain a scientific version of infinity. So I thought about that, and then I connected it to Christ. I don't want to sound too religious on y'all.
You're fine.
But, so I was trying to, like, when I was in high school, I was trying to, like, connect the dots. And I'm like, why would anyone care? It's like if you see a dog care about another dog, you're like, those two dogs. And it's like, oh, well, dogs care about people, too. It's like, rabbits don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. So you're like, all right. So then you start to think, like, what gives a crap about other people? And then you think, like, if you could die and come back in time, because you're on mushrooms and 16 years old, if you go die and come back in time, what would you think about it? And it's like, all right, the only person that would want to come back in time and fix it would have to be future mankind. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you can believe in the timeline of all that. Not that I'm saying I believe this, I'm just saying it's an interesting theory to think about. It's like, all right, so imagine like you're Gabriel, and you're like, all right, what do you want me to do again? And they're like, all right, so we're never going to talk to you again, and you got to go talk to these assholes down here from a couple thousand years ago. And he's like, what am I going to go on? They're like, nothing. We're just going to flick you through space. When you show up, a bush is going to catch on fire. It's going to be awesome. And he's like, what?
You're going to love the pyrotechnics.
Yeah, and it's like, who ordered this? And he's like, there was this dude, Noah. We grabbed him a couple years ago. We put him on top of a mountain. It caught on fire when we brought him back, and then he was like, Jesus. And I was like, oh, so you know the guy. So we sent him back, and then he talked to all his people, and he's like, forget gold. Like, we have to be nice to each other. Otherwise, we're all going to kill each other. So it's like, who else could have procreated with the angel Gabriel other than if Gabriel was part man to create Christ? And it's like, if you and I went back in time right now, 2,000 years ago, and we took our spit and we rubbed it in somebody's eyes, it would cure whatever ailment they had immediately. It seriously would. So like God could have like spit in someone's face. I mean, think about all the technology we have now. Imagine it in 1,000 years, what we'll have. Like what we've done in what, 85 years since.
I mean, even since like I've grown up, like technology has just expanded.
It's insane. So, again, this is whatever pothole idea, but it is interesting to think like, all right, so you have Gabriel, and Gabriel went back and told Mary, you're going to have the Son of Christ. So imagine when you go back to Stephen Hawkins, you have all these tornadoes, and it's like information spinning outwards. You can't choose when information is like, when like Nikola Tesla came out with something, it's going to happen at different times. But we happen to be in the time where like Gabriel was like, oh, we're going to have Christ.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the Son of God. And then also like, Gabriel is the same angel that gave the entire book of, you don't know?
Which book?
The Muslim book.
Quran?
Yeah.
Was he?
He's the exact same dude. They have the exact same. He's like, Gabriel gave us all this information. So you're like, why would we be fighting each other? So like, on a logical standpoint, it's like, why would we be fighting each other for literally over 2,000 years? Why would
Because no one fights each other over the big things. They always fight over the
small things. But it's like, why? But like literally, like there has to be a pope that knows that bit of information. Gabriel showed up, Christ was born, and then Gabriel showed up, and then they read the Quran. I hate the guy. That's like two Irish people beating each other up. Stupid.
Just he's from a county over.
Yeah.
No, but I've been on a Vatican kick recently of like what could be hidden in the like archives.
Oh, they're awful.
Yeah, what could be hidden in the archives of the Vatican, or like what kind of stuff is down there that they have, but they're not going to release.
Yeah.
Or, like they took just to kill like whatever it was.
Yeah, they've got like miles of information down there.
Oh yeah.
Basically everything that you think about them and all the awful things, it's in those files. There's like a detailed record.
It just goes back. That's where the Ark of the Covenant is.
Yeah. No, it definitely is somewhere.
Or like, what was it? The Book of Epoch or something?
Enoch.
That's it.
So that was, the Book of Enoch. Very interesting. So Enoch was the guy that it was in the like Dead Sea Scrolls, and it wasn't included in the Bible because then we wouldn't believe the same lie that we're believing today. But basically, that guy got to heaven because he just told the truth and was like, I'm the messenger. Mm-hmm. What's really weird is I read the Book of Enoch, and then like a week and a half later, I was at a gas station, drunk. I think it was when we were like, probably the same day. I think I left. I swear to God, it was right around then. Because I left and I drove to Long Point. Mm-hmm. And I literally, like, this guy was outside his car, and I was joking around with Jess. And I was saying some dumb shit, and this guy's, like, just walking out, and he's like, what'd you say? And I told him, he's like, you're funny as shit, man. I was like, that's cool. And he's like, what's your name? And I was like, Liam. And he's like, give me your number. I was like, what the hell do you want? She's like, there's some random black guy in Charleston. I was like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. He's like, what's your name? He's like, give me your number. We'll hang out. You're funny as hell. And I was like, if I give you my name, you got to give me yours. He's like, Enoch. I was like, what? I was like, from like the Old Testament? He goes, yeah. And he like slapped me on the shoulder and walked away. I was like, Jesus. Seriously, Jesus. Was that a message? I was like, I don't know.
Was that a sign I was supposed to read?
Yeah, it was a little bit scary. Not scary, but it was weird.
What has been some like rabbit holes you've been deep diving into lately? Like I said, mine with the Vatican thing. Like any like YouTube rabbit holes or like.
Oh man, so many.
Any theories, things you've been just looking into or just killing your time with?
Oh, of recent.
Yeah.
The ones that didn't come true.
Yeah. What is your recent sort of like rabbit hole?
Oh man.
Info dump you've been.
Let me think for a second. I'm really big on not liking GMOs, but I think that's not very rabbit hole-y anymore. I think people are like, yeah, they're pretty bad for you. Being in healthcare, there's all of that, and like the vaccines, but I mean,
I mean, like, being in healthcare, what made you want to go into that field? The healthcare field? Like,
So
what?
my dad was a doctor, and my grandfather, both my grandfathers were around World War II-ish. One of them was like a scout sniper in Japan, or in the islands, and then my other, like, literally, like, ran away from home at 14, got on a merchant marine ship, and was like, I'm just gonna, like, do whatever I can with the French. Fucking French. He, like, ran away from home in Hudson Bay and jumped on a French merchant marine ship, and it's like, I'm just gonna help out in the war effort, because he was 14, he couldn't fight. So I think on the other side of it, that inspired my father to be in healthcare. And then, you kind of look up to your father. So just like you play rugby, your dad plays rugby. I was in healthcare. Yeah, my dad was in healthcare. I wanted to be in healthcare. But doctors are such dicks now. It's hard to want to be that.
Like, which field of healthcare are you?
So he was cardiology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so very, very anti-smoke, all this stuff. And then I found pictures of him at Woodstock.
Ooh. Critical.
Hypocritical. But yeah, then, huh?
I was saying Mr. Healthy Doctor.
Yeah, now. Yeah, and then, I don't know. I always just found myself on the sidelines, like helping people that were on the pitch. Getting injured, and I'm like, I can fix this. I fell out of a tree, I got injured a lot, which made me very used to fixing my injuries a lot without telling my parents, which is the predecessor to being in healthcare. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, you're going to be fine. How do you know that? It's like, I had it last week. So I was very comfortable in healthcare. Yeah, and especially emergency care. Mm-hmm. I mean, having ADHD, you're like, you think through every possibility. And you're like, oh, you'll be fine. How do you think of it?
What, without disclosing who it is, what has been like the wildest thing that's come into emergency care for you? Like, I've had like a few like people who are EMS, and they were just telling me some stories of like scenes they've gone on. Like,
I've had a woman who was in her early 40s, and she left a tampon in that she couldn't get, so she left it for like 12 days. It was like stuck up there. Uh-huh. So she came in, and we had to like, remove it, and that was pretty awful. As far as just like longingly lasting, because like the whole office for a week, that was rough. Just, that's old blood. It's nothing to do against women. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
If it was a man, we'd just be like, cut off the leg.
Amputate it now. He'll be fine. He'll look good with a stump.
I know it's funny. Like when I was on Sullivan's Island, we used to have women, older women. Older woman. Well, there's two of them, but there was older women with like, neurotic healthcare issues, and they just show up on the golf cart. So like I'd be taking their blood pressure, and they'd have like a Dixie cup with wine. Like, ma'am.
The hospital frequent flyers, basically.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm not talking about dudes is because the dudes like that I knew you would have heard about, because they would have been in the news, and people could find out who they were. Because those are radical.
I mean, nothing said.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. When I was in New Orleans and I was working in cardiology, so we had to do an EKG. So we had to put leads like above your nipples, like it'd be your chest. So like we try to surround the heart on each side, and then below on your left side your heart. So we'd have to go below, and then either the legs or lower abdominal for the other leads. And I would have women that would be like, I'd be like, so ma'am, I try to be very delicate. And this is like 2010. I'd be like, I can get you like a thing. She goes, you want to see my tits? They just like, all right, thank you. Can you put them away so I can get back to the procedure? We're going to. Have you watched like the In-Betweeners on Netflix? Do you know the show?
No, I haven't.
It's on YouTube, I think.
I think the last thing I've watched on Netflix was Tom Brady's roast.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
It was so Nikki Glazer.
I was shocked by the people. Yeah,
I was disappointed with Bert.
dude, Bert, Tom. I love Tom Segura.
Yeah, I like both of them. That whole PowerPoint
sucked.
thing was just
Stupid.
disappointing. Like they could have gone so much better. But my favorite
Sorry,
one,
Bears.
they came out with their own alcohol, their own tequila.
Who?
Tom and Bert.
No shit.
Yeah,
Do you have it?
I don't. I can't
Can we do a
find.
shot? Just kidding.
So out of the Tom Brady roast, my favorite people were Nikki Glazer, Julian,
Yeah.
and Tony Hinchcliffe. The top three.
Dude, Tony Hinchcliffe, so funny.
I want to head down to Austin to like go to Joe's Club and like check that out.
We were there like a week before
Yeah.
it opened.
Should just like prolonged it a little bit for a week.
I was like, damn. I like Bledsoe. I thought the quarterback that was.
Oh yeah.
I thought
Drew.
his jokes were solid, especially for not a comedian who's
Yeah.
like used to it. And then like if you were to compare him to, Segura and Chrysler, if you watch them, they just sucked. I was really disappointed in that.
Yeah,
Nikki.
Nikki was good.
I thought even Kim Kardashian did better than the two Bears.
Yeah, I think it was just like them going up at the same time. Like if they actually like did the speech instead of like the PowerPoint.
Yeah, so I think Bert Kreischer was being Bert Kreischer, and I think Tom Segura was like, how do I be funny and also make sure that I don't kill this dude right now? Because we're live. So what do you think about like Riz? What are your like favorite like pop shit right now? Who do you listen to?
Like, what do you mean by pop shit? Like pop music, like pop culture stuff?
I'm old, man. All music is pop now. What do you like now?
Andy just roasted me for my whole rap playlist last week.
Okay, yeah. So I like that Kendrick diss track. I don't like Drake. I've never liked Drake.
I should never like sit down and be like, I want to listen to Drake. It's always been like one or two things that I've put in my playlist that's like, that's a good song.
Sure.
But I've mostly just been on like outlaw country music.
Outlaw country.
Yeah, just like Culture Wall, Tyler Childers, Zach Bryan. I actually went to Wheeler Walker Jr. concert last week.
Nice.
I'm going to another one this Saturday. It's a big band orchestra that is playing the Cowboy Bebop playlist or soundtrack from the anime.
Oh my god. Just when I think I understand what the hell he's talking about.
Space Cowboy, man. It's an old anime. It's pretty good.
A Space Cowboy from the 77? With like the weird...
Yeah.
No.
Cowboy Bebop.
No.
Spike is the main character. They have a corgi named Ein.
No. This is... Continue talking.
But yeah, Wheeler Walker was the second concert I've ever been to in my life.
What?
Yeah. My first one was Dropkick Murphys, but that was
nice.
Like 2 years ago was my first ever concert.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never really went. I never went to any concerts.
This is why, like, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was like, what? Why?
I just never got around to it. I didn't have a car that could travel. No one came to Charleston. Like, the closest concert I wanted to go to was Dropkick Murphys and Flog 'em Molly when they went up to House of Blues in Myrtle. Then my ex took the ticket, so I wasn't able to go. After that, I just didn't really pay attention to concerts or when they were coming in town. But now I've been trying to keep on like concerts and comedians coming into town.
Yeah.
Like Bert's coming for his tour.
Are you gonna go to that?
I'm debating on it because if I go to it, I'd have to take off work the next day because I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, for my birthday a couple years ago, we went to Tom Segura.
Yeah.
And that was funny.
Was he worth it?
Oh yeah.
I-
Yeah.
I went to Ari Shafir when he came in town.
Ari Shafir is funny.
Yeah.
I like him. But I don't know, man. Like when I moved here, we moved to. It's gonna sound pretentious. We moved to Daniel Island. But right down the street was where the stadium was that you can see, like where they used to play the Battery games.
Yeah.
So they had like Stained and Breaking Benjamin, all these bands. Like I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
Like I just moved here, and I was like, I'm just gonna go alone. Like people feeling bad for me. I was like, I don't give a shit. So I just like watched the show and went home. But I don't know. It's a different time.
Yeah.
I was within walking distance.
If I was in like walking distance, it would be a little bit easier than.
Isn't that frustrating in Charleston though?
Yeah,
Like
I can't.
you just can't walk.
No, you can't.
Like, where the fuck?
That's what. Like,
You have to go over like a very dangerous bridge or the crosstown where like people died weekly.
Or if you want to take an Uber, it's about like $50, and there's already half your spending money for the night.
Yeah.
You still have to get an Uber back. So like Charleston, unless you live downtown or live like right by Park Circle.
Yeah.
Or downtown Somerville, it's not really a fun time to go out.
You just got to Uber everywhere, man.
Yeah, and the price has gone insanely high for Uber.
It's yeah, I feel unfortunate for y'all because it used to be fun. Like you just like go out, have a good time, catch a taxi.
Yeah.
You could watch the
Meter.
meter and then you just get home. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. Now it's like so sophisticated and expensive, and they're like,
Yeah, I've never been in a taxi before.
you've never been in a taxi.
I've only grown up with Ubers. That's it. Well, I've had taxis, but I was never at the age where, like, I would call it taxi.
All right, Liam. So last banger of a conversation. What do you want to ask? What do you got?
All right. Top 3 rugby third half memories. Because you said you loved the third half.
I never said I love the third.
You said that was your favorite part of rugby was the third
I
half.
never said that. See, this is you're painting me as an alcoholic.
I'm not. I'm painting you as having fun. I never said you drank. I never put that on you. You're the one that put that on you.
I did put that on me.
Exactly.
Ah, shit.
Just like my first like third half was over at Coastal when we played NC State. Like I never scored.
This will be wild.
I never scored before. Like all through high school and everything, I never scored. This I scored, and then I had to do a Zulu run.
Yeah.
When I did a Zulu run, they took my clothes and threw it on the roof.
Yeah.
So.
That's exciting.
Yeah. It's Coastal.
Yeah. That sounds way more fun. So I don't know if your audience knows who's the blockade is, but you know, they're all inclusive, but the drinking team. So basically, like Liam's the other Liam is a lot better of a rugby player than I am. So like he could play with the top tier. So was it D2?
I think they moved up, but like yeah.
Yeah. So like you were playing D2. Do you remember that day? Oh man, it was like a Sunday or something. You were like, "Hey, come over to Citadel. Like we're playing touch."
Yeah.
And I was so exhausted. They just kept kicking me in the ball. The guy's like, he's hungover. We're just sending him the ball. I was like, I'm leaving. In like the middle of a play, I just watched you like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just tired of them picking on me. I mean, I was so hungover. It's wild to think like how rugby acts like that. But you know, they were all inclusive, so I never wanted to try. I never wanted to have to do the Zulu march, but they're fun. There's times in Atlanta that were a lot of fun. I had to do when we were in Baltimore. I had to do. Can you do it? The days of the week.
I have not. The only one that stuck in my head is the Yogi Bear song.
All right.
Oh, I will. This will get struck down if I sing any of the rugby songs.
Well, yeah, the Rugby Bear song. That's you just gotta bounce off other people. But yeah, so I screwed up the days of the week, and they were just be like, "Meh," I kick them off stage. So I went from very high to very low very quickly. It's interesting. I had to do a boot. chugged the boot for no apparent reason. What's your favorite kangaroo court memory?
Oh, my kangaroo court memory. So, I only have been in one kangaroo court. I tried to have my ears pierced my freshman year of college, and apparently I talked too much during the season.
Oh my god.
So, I was put on trial in kangaroo court, and my punishment, I was found guilty of talking too much during the year. So, they took my earring and made it a nose ring.
Oh my god.
So, two of the guys held my arms behind my back. One of them took the earring out, disinfected it with alcohol. They had moonshine at the time, so they disinfected it with moonshine, lit the other end on fire, and then pressed it into my nose.
Yeah.
And then the hooker comes over. He looks at it. He's like, "Oh, that's not in all the way," and pushes it. I hear like a crack, and it's all the way in.
Yeah.
That was the only time I've been in kangaroo court.
Oh my god. I had one in Savannah, I think the year after I met you. Because the year after I met you is when I came up to you and your dad had a caravan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the next year, and what was it? That kangaroo court, they were trying to pin me down. I can't remember what I did. I was probably talking too much or some dumb shit, but
Sounds like a common thread for the name, Liam.
yeah, right. It's all right, we talk a lot. That's why you started a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They tripped like a Trump hat, like "Make America Great Again." I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna wear it. And they're like, no, you have to wear it. It's your punishment. I'm like, I'm from New Orleans. Like, I've been shot at before. Like, I'm not gonna walk into downtown Savannah with a fucking hat on that I'm gonna get shot at for. They're like, there's been no crime in Savannah recently. It's like, because no one's walked downtown with that hat. Not that I want to get political. I don't care what way you vote, but Jesus Christ, I don't want to die today. And they're like, no, you have to wear it. I was like, fuck you. I don't think they like that. Oh man, so that was interesting. And then I went and hung out with you after that.
Yeah. So the St. Patrick's Day tournament's always the wildest one that I've been to.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go out there to Vegas or, I think Texas has some pretty good ones. You ever been to Pitch Tent?
No, I haven't. I've only been to Margarita Sevens and then the Savannah St. Patrick's Day tournament.
Margarita Sevens is the one that they made up here, right?
Yeah, time when Luke did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made that.
Luke's gone, man.
Is he?
Yeah, he's up in Canada.
Oh, shit.
I felt bad. It was funny. The first time my mother ever saw me play was we were playing the College of Charleston. My mom literally gets out there and it's coming to a point, and again, I like to hit people. So this kid threw his knee out and it just collides with my head. I clearly have a concussion. They scored immediately because it's a bunch of D2 people playing a bunch of college kids that are super fast. So they scored a try, and we had to go, behind the try line. And I'm just like this. And Luke Krasman's like, you have to get off the field. Liam, pay attention. Get the hell off the field. That was wild.
Well, it's been a fun podcast. Thank you, Liam. Definitely have you back on. Ask you about Germany and Australia.
Sounds good. I had no idea what to do. I've only listened to a couple of yours, but they sound good.
Yeah, I try. Well, if you guys liked the episode and now that it's video, I hope you guys enjoyed. There's a link for all my other episodes in the show notes, along with anything else, whatever I want to link. I also have a comment section on Spotify. If you go under, you'll see leave a comment or not, up to your choice. Hope you guys enjoy and have a good one.